welcome to the Rebels Recap. This is Jesse here with Carlos, as usual.
Yeah, it's good to be back. I think we'll have a good discussion on this episode.
Yeah, actual discussion instead of us just talking about events. So we have time for that. Let's go ahead and jump into it. So this episode was called The Last Battle. We had the crew wanting to go and get some kind of bombs, I think like proton bombs or something like that.
And I thought I think it was like proton torpedoes or something. I don't remember.
I don't think they were torpedoes.
Oh, really?
Torpedoes, anyway. But yeah, so they were going to an old separatist crashed thing to go get that and find a bunch of battle droids there waiting on them.
Yeah, that was interesting. It was definitely interesting to hear the Roger Roger again.
And hearing Ezra's reaction to it, asking who is Roger.
Yeah.
that was funny. But yeah, it was nice to me. Like before we get into that, let's go ahead and just go through the episode. So they're looking for these proton bombs. They find them, get captured by droids, and meet this one of those like elite tactical planning droids. I forget the name of them. And he wants to end the Clone War once and for all.
Yeah, what did you think about how he wanted to do it? Like with basically setting up this game or whatever it was. Like where basically what they did was he had Ezra and Kanan and then Rex, obviously, and they had to fight their way through basically an army of battle droids, but it wasn't really an army. There were less of them than normal, obviously. But I don't know. I think, let me get into my thoughts about this whole episode. I just think it was kind of like a throwaway episode. It was a filler. I was expecting maybe a little bit more substance out of it. I mean, we get a lot of manufactured substance out of it because of it was almost like they wanted to wrap up Rex's character, which I guess pushed forward, but in all reality it didn't, so I don't know.
I agree that it didn't push forward the plot of the entire season, but I did enjoy the episode as a whole, just seeing a clone back in action. And I think it was interesting because the whole thing they were going with was both Rex he didn't want to do this because he didn't want to go back to the war, but this droid wanted to do it because to fulfill his programming, to finally beat the Republic. And then in the end, Rex admits that he was just wanting to fulfill his programming too, of fighting these droids, and finishing the war. And actually, what happens is, of course, the Empire gets involved. They end up finding the base and sending in some AT-ATs and stuff. So the droids and the Rebels have to work together using some interesting logic of the Republic became the Empire, so technically the Empire is the droids' enemy. Yeah, and then the Rebels, of course, are fighting the Empire to begin with, so they're on the same side now.
Yeah, that's kind of the logic that I had the entire way through. So that's why I was kind of like struggling with this episode, because I just felt like it was kind of pointless because they should be fighting the Empire to begin with. And then when he finally gets there, and the droid says, like, I accept your logic or something like that, I was like, finally. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I think this was a lot of just calling back old Clone Wars stuff. Yeah. And like you said, wrapping up Rex's storyline, because
he's going to die.
Yeah, I want him to find out who Darth Vader is and have Darth Vader kill him, because that would just break Rex. And as much as I'd hate to see him get broken, I want to see it. Yeah.
I also like how the super tactical droid, right? That's what it was. Yeah. He says that the rebellion has less than 1% chance to win the war. Yeah. It's like, that's great.
Yeah, he says you have a less than 1% chance of winning a war against the Empire, so this is where we part ways. Yeah. But it was really fun seeing the droids team up to fight, take down AT-ATs. Like, we actually see an AT-AT foot come in and crush a droid, and that was just so much fun.
And it kind of, one thing it did do was highlight how just desperate and, I don't know, like, kind of scrappy the rebellion is at this point, especially because when they're trying to take down the AT-AT, the super tactical droid goes, I've never tried such a desperate plan before. And because it was basically like, which we can get into that plan as a whole in a second, but it was basically like they were shooting at the Jedi who were deflecting them into these bombs or whatever that they originally came to collect, and then having them blow up. So, first of all, how inaccurate can the droids be that they have to shoot them at the Jedi?
The whole point of a battle droid was they were cheap, so you could have a bunch of them and overwhelm.
I guess, yeah, I guess.
But that is pretty sad that they can shoot at a Jedi, but not this bomb that's almost the size of a person.
Exactly. I don't know. It was just a little frustrating for me. But
I don't know. I think a lot of it was just to show off. Like, there was a lot of showing off how goofy and silly the droids were.
Yeah, that's true.
Which I didn't really dislike, because, I mean, that just makes it fun.
Yeah, and they did poke fun at Clone Wars a little bit, and poke fun at just the silliness of it at times, so I did appreciate that. I think where we maybe part ways here is this was a very nostalgia-driven episode when it comes to the Clone Wars and even some prequel stuff, which I'm a decent-sized prequel defender, but I wasn't a huge Clone Wars fan. I like Clone Wars. I like certain parts and sections of Clone Wars, but I don't love it as a whole like you do, I think.
Yeah, and it's interesting that I enjoyed this episode a whole lot because I love the Clone Wars, but I'm less of a prequels defender than you are.
Yeah, it's strange.
But, I don't know, it was a lot of Clone Wars nostalgia. Yeah. Even though it's only been over like, what, 2 years? 3?
Yeah, I mean, it's... Yeah, I don't know. When did it technically end?
I guess
it wasn't that long.
3 or 4 years ago now, actually. Because I finished it up my freshman year of college.
Oh, wow. Jeez. So, yeah, it was an interesting episode. I think it was the first pure filler episode of the season.
Definitely.
I guess one big, or quote-unquote big plot element that we did get is we got a replacement for the Phantom, right?
Yeah, one of those old Separatist shuttles. Now they have that for the Phantom. Didn't get the bombs, because they had to use those to fight the Empire.
Yeah.
We got to see Kallus again.
Yep.
He didn't hint towards anything to do with the rebellion, but we can't have him doing that all the time. If he's going to be acting as a sleeper agent, which is still theory, not saying that's true.
But I think it's true.
Yeah. But yeah, this week, not a whole lot. Didn't advance the plot. I feel like something big is coming, though, because we haven't advanced the plot very much. Just little, tiny pieces.
True. We should have a big episode coming. It's almost... I don't know. They're kind of picking certain characters that they're really diving into. Like, next week is another... Sabine episode, which we already had kind of a Sabine episode when she went undercover at the Academy.
Yeah, but we haven't had a Sabine episode in a very long time.
True.
Like, in the first 2 seasons, we barely had any.
All right, what member of the team, other than Rex, because I think we can both agree on Rex, do you think is most likely to die this season?
I don't know. The way they're building up Sabine, I could kind of see that. Yeah. But I don't want that to happen. Not this soon. I think Hera could die.
Ooh. Yeah.
Because they filled her out some more, too.
Mm-hmm.
And she's already a fan favorite.
That's true.
They could just take her out.
Yeah. And that could open up a gate to have her dad more involved in the show, which I think would be interesting.
It would break Kanan a little bit, make him more desperate, drive Ezra toward the dark side.
Yeah.
The whole crew would probably break up a little bit. Not completely, but they wouldn't work together nearly as well.
All right, what about, this is kind of an underrated one, what about Chopper? No?
I don't know. I feel like he could die.
He's expendable.
He is definitely expendable, and I don't know if I would really miss him that much. I mean, I like Chopper. He's fun.
I think he has enough personality that there's enough to get attached to that we'd be sad if he goes, but it's not like an integral part of it. So I think it's possible.
No, it's not going to affect the crew or the overall plot that much. Besides Chopper getting them out of messes all the time. But
true.
They could just make up a different reason for that.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe if Kallus becomes more involved and his relationship with Zeb develops a little bit more, maybe Zeb. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there, throwing some ideas out there.
We both think that like pretty much everybody has to die. Though.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I could see Hera maybe surviving.
Yeah, best case scenario is 1 or 2 of them kind of, quote-unquote, leave the rebellion or find some excuse, and then the rest of them fly off to Alderaan at the end of the show.
Oh, that would be terrible.
That's the best case scenario. For the show.
Yeah,
that's really just how it is.
But anyway, next week we're getting Mandalorians fighting, apparently. Sabine is going to go up against some Mandalorians that are fighting for the Empire. I think we're going to see some that are fighting against it, too.
Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to that. Continue to be looking forward to the show, I think. Hopefully we don't have another filler episode, which I don't think it'll be. Especially, I like Sabine, so...
Yeah.
Even if it's filler, it should still be entertaining.
Definitely.
All right, well, that was the Rebels recap for this week for episode 6, or is it 7? And episode 6, I believe.
Yeah.
Of Star Wars Rebels Season 3. And